We got to get over on all these guys. That's what we need to be thinking about right now. We got to get over on all these guys.
It's got to be the best we ever done. It's episode 14 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we'll be talking about a hodgepodge of topics everywhere from music to movies, other pop culture events.
And in this episode, we have a veritable Christian Bale-a-palooza as we discuss David O. Russell's new film, American Hustle, and Out of the Furnace from director Scott Cooper. A little later in the show, we'll discuss two of our favorite Bale movies from the archive. You can reach us at thehodgepodgepodcast@gmail.com, or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or over my review blog, dougreviews.blogspot.com. And as we're recording this, we last night just saw the New York Film Critics series that they just started, I guess. Was it last month?
It was actually, no, I think it was just the last week. I don't think it was a month ago. I thought it was very recently.
Okay. Well, the series, whenever they started with Nebraska, but they recently started doing this in our area for the second one. And the second one was a movie that I've been waiting for all year. I would say it's probably my most anticipated movie of the entire year.
Yeah. For sure.
Man of Steel was up there, but this one is huge. And
different movie altogether.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. But we're talking about David O. Russell's American Hustle.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with David O. Russell, he directed and wrote Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Which was an amazing movie last year.
Yep.
And then he also
did The Fighter.
He directed The Fighter, which was another Oscar-worthy worthy nomination back in 10, was it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
09, 10.
09, 010.
For The Fighter, this episode we're talking about two Christian Bale movies because he's got two at the end of the year here. And he actually won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for The Fighter. That was a few years ago. Yeah, American Hustle. And David O. Russell also did, Three Kings and I Heart Huckabees.
Yeah,
and I think it was after I Heart Huckabees, he kind of had a little mental breakdown or something like that.
Yeah, he took some time. We'll say.
After his fight with Lily Tomlin on set or whatever happened, but he's been hitting him out of the park ever since. The Fighter and
this guy's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Silver Linings Playbook was great as well. That was one of my favorites last year. American Hustle does not disappoint. I would say it's as funny, if not funnier, than Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, going into it, I did not think it was supposed to be such a all-out comedy, as it were. I had no idea. I thought it was. I knew it was going to be funny, but I thought it was more of a drama mixed in with it. But no, it's just funny. I mean, I don't know if we ever stopped really laughing. Not in a cheap, kitschy way. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's smart. It's smart comedy. I mean, you really got to pay attention to what's going on to get a lot of the comedy.
I was blown away. Yeah.
I know there were a couple times when something happened, and I felt like I was the only one in theater laughing, but it was hilarious. The movie is based in part on the abscam sting that the FBI did back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s. And this was a sting to catch corrupt politicians with their hands in the cookie jar. All the characters in the movie are either based on somebody loosely, or they're like composite characters that are cobbled together from multiple people. And Christian Bale is the lead actor in this one. He plays Irving Rosenfeld, who is a con man who gets busted, and he has to go to work for the FBI.
Yeah, so they bust him and his
partner/mistress.
Yeah, partner/mistress, and basically tell him they use her to get to him, basically, and say, we need 4 callers from you, and then we'll let you go. And the officer, the detective who's trying to make a name for himself, played by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. With a tight Mike Brady perm.
Man, that perm is something special. But he is really caught up in trying to make a name for himself.
Right.
So this thing just snowballs, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I was reminded probably about halfway through the movie of The Empire Strikes Back. When Lando Calrissian goes, this deal is getting worse all the time, because it just keeps getting worse and worse for them, because it just gets out of control. Bale's mistress and, as Dirty A said, his partner is played by Amy Adams, who puts on a British accent half the time and an American accent the other half the time.
She slips in and out of it.
But it's supposed to be like that. It's not a bad acting job on her part by any means. But as we said, she is his mistress, and his wife is played by Jennifer Lawrence.
She is so wonderful in this role. It's I can't even I can't even. I don't even want to give it away.
Yeah,
but just every line out of her mouth is just gold.
She steals every scene that she's in, pretty much, and her character is completely wackadoo and unhinged. Yeah, and she's great.
And she just got nominated for the SAG.
Yeah, and then the whole ensemble got also nominated, the whole ensemble, which is
she's deserved. I could see her winning supporting.
Yeah, she might. Yeah, she might.
It was that good. At first, I thought, wow, she's in this. They're kind of underutilizing her because her role doesn't really pick up until the second half of the movie.
Yeah,
but man, when she's on screen, it's lit up.
I'm just thinking about some stuff she does.
Yeah, you just laugh thinking about it.
And Jeremy Renner is also one of the leads. He plays a mayor who, I would say, he's the mayor with the heart of gold, and he kind of
gets caught up in the corruption of it for good intentions.
Right. Yeah. So
he's got some hair too.
Oh yeah, he's got a nice pompadour going on. There was the great supporting cast in this one because we don't want to give this movie hasn't been released yet. It comes out
the 20th, I think, right?
That's when it goes wide. It comes out in limited release on the 13th, and then on the 20th it goes wide.
Yeah, and I want to say spoilers for this.
I want to say maybe it's coming out the same day as Anchorman, 2 days early. I could have sworn they said the 18th, but everything else I've seen says the 20th, so we'll just go with
Either way, we've already seen it. So
high five. But the supporting cast is great. Louis C.K. is amazing in this movie. He is so funny.
You think he can't play like the straight comedy guy?
Oh, but he's
he deadpans it like you wouldn't believe. It is wonderful. But I mean, the whole cast is brilliant. If there's one, and I hate to say this, but if there's one throwaway role in the whole cast, I would have to give it to Bradley Cooper's character because I could. It's not that he did a great job with it. I just think that almost anyone with acting chops could have played that role the way it was written. Mm-hmm. But he did a great job. But I mean, everyone their characters are just spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more of his home life because they give you that one glimpse and then that's it.
We're not going to give it away. But they don't give much backstory to him other than through his actions you can tell he just really wants to make a name for himself.
Michael Pena shows up in this too. I love him whenever he shows up. He's great. and also another actress that shows up in this that I never really liked before was Elizabeth Rome. She was on Law and Order as Serena Sutherland. She was the blonde after Angie Harmon, I think. Yeah. And I never really warmed up to her on I was going to say LA Law. What the hell am I talking about? On Law and Order. I never really warmed up to her on that show, and she was great in this. Yeah, she plays Jeremy Renner's wife in this, and she's great. Just a great cast, great script. I've been seeing like some reviews. Most of the majority of the reviews are positive for this.
As they should be.
And it gets my highest recommendation. It's not necessarily the best movie of the year. It's definitely my favorite.
No, and we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
It's not the most thought-provoking movie.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not what it's meant for.
It's not high on plot. It's really all about the characters.
It's character-driven, and it does have plot, but it's just one of those well put together, well made movies where everyone is cast perfectly, does their job perfectly, and everything just comes together.
Yeah. The reviews I've been seeing, some of them are basically like talking about how like they don't feel it's like weighty enough or something like that. And of course, when you're in a year when you've got 12 Years a Slave,
literally just came out.
Yeah, which literally just came out, and that is, I mean, for me, that is the best movie of the year because of it. That's got everything. But this movie, in its own way, has everything too. It's probably the most entertaining movie we've seen this year.
I agree with you 100% because 12 Years a Slave has everything this movie has. Plus, it's just plain poignant. Like it needs to be seen.
It's a laugh riot.
That's what we mean to say. It's a movie that almost should be required to be seen.
Right.
And not just because of the subject matter, but like we just said, it has everything else in it too. This movie has everything but the kitchen sink, which is that poignancy that 12 Years a Slave has.
But that being said, I mean, there is a lot of fantastic character work here. Like Christian Bale, he could be a caricature, but he's not. I mean, you see it on his face the whole time. He's
trapped.
His character's kind of a buffoon, but he's dealing with a lot. He's dealing with fear, and he's dealing with the guilt and all this. I mean, the guilt that he goes through is fantastic.
Well, it sets it up well because he's a buffoon of a character in some ways, but he's trying to be himself in a lot of ways, and he hasn't quite figured out. And as he mentions in the movie, he's only able to be himself around his mistress,
right?
That is Amy Adams. But yeah, he just transcends in this movie. I told you, this is a movie where I watch these performances and I wish I could be an actor like these people. I mean, it is just, it's jaw-droppingly amazing what they do on the screen.
Yeah, they're all great. And it's definitely a must-see when it comes out. You got to see it. I remember when Silver Linings Playbook came out last year, and I was telling everybody, you got to go see it. And it did great. I mean, it did very well at the box office. But I was like, you got to see this movie. You got to see this movie. American Hustle is a movie. You've got to see it.
Yeah, I think this will have more draw than Silver Linings Playbook, just because of the plot lends itself a little more to be understood before you see it by a wider audience.
I don't know. Because the Silver Linings Playbook, it might get more play because of Silver Linings Playbook, because that was so successful. But Silver Linings Playbook was, at its core, was a romantic comedy.
Oh, I don't disagree more, but when the initial trailer was for it, was kind of hard. It was a hard sell.
Yeah.
Silver Linings, but if you haven't seen that one, please go rent that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Silver Linings Playbook, you got to see that too.
It's crazy amazing.
Yes.
But this is it's a must see of the year for sure.
Yeah, so check it out when it comes out. American Hustle. Like I said, we don't want to. We're gushing about it, but we don't want to say too much because we don't want to give it away.
More about it.
But it's
all we can really say without giving spoilers away is what you're going to hear in the weeks to come, which is you got to see this movie.
Yeah,
and it's not being oversold. It's not being overhyped here. It is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's really good. A for me.
Yeah.
Just out of the range of A+ for me.
Yeah, it might have been the best he's ever done.
It's gotta be the best we've ever done. So then we saw just last week the other Christian Bale movie that was coming out this fall, and that's Scott Cooper's Out of the Furnace.
Yeah, we were expecting big things from that one.
Yeah,
and,
Scott Cooper, he directed Crazy Heart, which netted Jeff Bridges
amazing movie. If you haven't seen that, yeah.
And this was another one we were really looking forward to. I would say I was looking more forward to American Hustle, just based on Russell and what Bale was doing. But this movie looked great. Out of the Furnace.
Yeah, I don't know. They were almost neck and neck for me. Having seen them both now and knowing what I know now, I don't even know what the competition was in my mind.
Yeah.
But and that's not to say Out of the Furnace was a bad movie.
No, it was just
a solid good movie, as opposed to what we thought was going to be a great movie.
Yeah, the trailers really don't sell this movie correctly, and it's struggled at the box office already.
Yeah,
it's probably not going to be in theaters.
To be honest, though, if they had sold it what it really was, it'd probably be doing worse.
You're probably right.
It's the sad part.
And you're going to hear us say stuff like that, but this isn't an Only God Forgives situation where it's a bad movie. This was a good movie,
and the actors were wonderful.
Yeah, it's just they sell it as like a mystery thriller type thing, and there really is no mystery. It's just a straight
drama.
Yeah, it's a straight pitch black character drama. And Christian Bale plays Russell Bays, who is a steel mill worker.
He's just a steel-town boy on a Saturday night.
Yes. So he lives in they're in Pennsylvania. He's a hardworking guy, always trying to do the right thing. He's got a younger brother named Rodney, played by Casey Affleck.
A lazy brother.
I wouldn't say lazy. He's a war vet.
I think he went in. Assumption I got was he went into the war because he didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
I think that was what he was going to do because he didn't
trying to escape.
He didn't have a vocation. He didn't want to do anything. So he went into the war. Now who he became after the war? Yeah, he was just messed up. I mean, his head was just messed up after the war. It references all the things he had seen.
Right.
And
definitely had PTSD.
Yeah. 100% untreated. And so he could not hold down a job. Didn't want to hold down a job. Mm-hmm. And so he goes into fighting.
Yeah, he gets involved with illegal fights with
backwoods Appalachia.
Criminal element.
Criminals. Yeah,
and but his backer is John Petty, played by Willem Dafoe, and wanting a bigger payday, Casey Affleck gets involved with Woody Harrelson's character, which is a guy named De Groot.
Yeah,
and he is the backwoods kingpin, basically, and he is pretty scary in this movie.
Yeah, he plays a pretty bad.
Woody Harrelson. I was going through his list of movies on IMDb when I was writing my review, and I was just like, he's done a ton of great work. People, you look at him, you think Cheers.
He does. Now he gets overlooked. You think
White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah.
But he's done a great stuff.
Natural Born Killers comes to mind.
No Country for Old Men. He was great in that.
Oh yeah.
Zombieland.
Absolutely,
hilarious
man.
in that.
Come on.
And then also Russell has a girlfriend named Lena, is played by Zoe Saldana. Yeah, she's gorgeous. Not in this movie as much as I'd like to have seen her. Also, his father is dying, and he has an uncle played by Sam Shepard, and he helps him out a little bit. We won't ruin it, but tragedy strikes. Russell gets his freedom taken away from him. He gets out, I would say, 4 years maybe?
Yeah, it was around the 4 or 5 year mark. You get the feeling, yeah.
And he gets out. His brother had gone back for another tour, and he's all messed up from PTSD.
Go back and come back, so yeah.
And then his father's passed,
and
his girlfriend's moved on. So his whole life
is gone.
It's gone.
It's stripped from him, basically.
So what happens is Rodney gets in deep with these guys, and
Rodney being Casey Affleck, his brother,
and he disappears. And Russell...
no, we say he disappears. That's one of the problems with the movie is
right.
You see what happens.
Yeah, right.
To Bale's character, he disappears.
Mm-hmm.
We know what happens. We know he's... the trailers tell you. I don't know if that's really a spoiler.
Sort of.
Okay, well, we know something bad happens to him.
Right.
And the movie then becomes Bale's character searching for his brother.
Right, and trying to get justice.
Right. Not really liking the way the cops are doing things.
Yeah.
It's really the investigation's too slow, so he takes it upon himself to do a little investigation of his own.
He's told by the local sheriff.
He's
the chief of police in their town.
Yeah, who they now have a complicated history.
Yeah. And he's played by Forrest Whitaker, and he makes some interesting choices in this with his voice and stuff like that.
He does,
but he does a good job. I like what he did.
I did. I turned to you in the movie and I said, he's given Christian Bale his Batman voice.
He kind of was.
He does. Yeah.
He basically tells Christian Bale that these good old boys do things their way, and we're trying to do it. But like Dirty A said, it's too slow for him, so he goes and seeks justice on his own.
Tries to get out of the furnace.
Jesus Christ. And it leads to the inevitable showdown with Woody Harrelson. Again, it's not a bad movie.
No.
It is long. It's pretty slow moving.
And that's the thing. American Hustle also a long movie, but and Out of the Furnace you feel its length.
Yeah, American Hustle pops.
Yeah, Out of the Furnace. Granted, it is a slow-paced movie, so it lends itself more to being able to feel the length.
Right.
But yeah, you notice yourself. You notice the movie trailing at times, and kind of needing to pick up a little bit.
Yeah. So, but I felt it was a little bit like Prisoners. The only difference is Prisoners.
I like that much better.
But no, so did I. But I'm just saying it kind of felt like that. Whereas it's Prisoners. Yes, it was about finding the daughters, but it was really more of a character study about Hugh Jackman.
Absolutely, yeah. In that aspect,
and it's the same thing with Christian Bale in this. It's
absolutely.
It is a little heavy-handed with the whole.
Prisoners mixes the whole thing a lot better.
Totally,
it up a lot more.
Totally.
Still, though, this is a good movie, and I wouldn't say it's one you need to rush out and see because there's so many good movies out there right now, and that are coming out in the next few weeks. But if you have time and you've seen everything else, definitely give it a chance.
Yeah, definitely give it a try. The cast is great. Everybody does a great job.
Yeah.
Christian Bale gives a fantastic performance.
Oh, again, he's just it's hard for that guy to do wrong.
He's really he's really taking advantage of the spotlight that Batman
Casey Affleck, he gets
He's great as always. He's really good.
He doesn't get a lot of accolades for his acting ability. He's a great actor. He's got it in him more so than his brother even. For me, it seems like his brother, his true calling is directing.
Yeah. Well, also Casey Affleck takes more indie roles than Ben Affleck does. Ben Affleck basically, is the pretty boy of the two of them. I would say
you're right, because when Ben Affleck, I would just refer to him as Affleck. Casey Affleck is Casey Affleck. When Ben Affleck, when he decides to take a kind of a shadowed, undershadowed role, he does like in Argo, which he directed as well.
Yeah.
He does phenomenal with it.
Yeah.
But you're right. Casey Affleck has gone more the indie route, which showcases more your acting abilities typically than your big blockbusters.
Yeah. I mean, there was a period there where Ben Affleck did a lot of shitty movies.
Yeah.
A lot. Like The Prophetic Paycheck.
A lot. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Everybody thinks that. Sorry, Ben. Good luck on Batman. So two good movies, but if the only one you really have to rush out and go see as soon as it comes out is American Hustle.
Absolutely.
And I would say, honestly, because we're about a week out, I guess, from it coming out, I would say I would go see that before Anchorman 2.
Yeah. Look. I'm looking forward to Anchorman 2 as much as the next person, but I already know what it's going to be.
And they're pushing it real hard.
Okay. Let me put it this way. Assuming it's as good as it can be, I already know what it's going to be.
Right.
It could easily be a lot worse than I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But even at its best, American Hustle is the one you want to see.
Yeah.
I'll even say you might even laugh more in American Hustle.
More consistently.
Yeah. I mean, we can't tout that one enough. It's easily top 2 or 3 of the year.
Yeah.
And I know there are a few to come out that we haven't gotten to yet that are going to be in the nomination. They're going to be in the running. But this is just amazing all around. David Russell just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he did. Great job. So this being our Bale-a-palooza,
Bale-a-thon,
we wanted to talk about a couple other movies that we liked from Christian Bale that aren't Batman.
Right. So we went ahead and excluded the Batman Dark Knight trilogy from our list.
Because we'll probably talk about that sometime.
And we can easily do a podcast on that. And we've each picked a Christian Bale movie to just kind of talk about for a couple minutes here.
Right.
Doug, what'd you go with?
Well, I went with a movie that we've discussed briefly in the past, and it is another Christopher Nolan. Christian Nolan? That guy. It's another Christopher Nolan movie. It's the film he did in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and it is The Prestige, or, as the fanboys like to call it, Batman versus Wolverine, because it also features Hugh Jackman. The Prestige, this was 2006, I guess. This is when it came out. It's a film set in the late 1800s, and it's about these two magicians, who Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, who they study and work under an older magician who is kind of like a has-been and does all the old tricks, and they both want to become into their own and become these great magicians and all this kind of stuff. There's an accident during one of the tricks, and Hugh Jackman's wife, who was played by Piper Perabo, she dies.
Yeah.
And he blames Christian Bale for it.
So they have a big riff and split off.
And they split off, and then they become rivals. Christian Bale, he meets and falls in love with Rebecca Hall's character. His character is very erratic with her. She doesn't really understand him sometimes, and sometimes everything's perfect. He's
very moody.
Moody.
He's either the perfect gentleman, husband/lover, or he's just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Isolated.
Right. He comes up with a trick called what is it? It's the
I don't know the name of it.
I forget the name of it.
I don't know.
It was the
two doors?
No, it was the something man, the disappearing man or the appearing man or something.
The reappearing man. It might be the appearing man. Yeah. Anyway, it involves.
Look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, it involves two doors on either side of a room,
and then he bounces a ball, and then he appears on the other side of the stage.
He bounces a ball, goes through the door on his side, then all of a sudden he appears on the other side to catch the ball through the other door.
Hugh Jackman sees the trick because they go to each other's shows to see what they're
right. They're competition, so
right.
as magicians would do.
He's like, I don't know how he
can't
did
figure
it.
out how this trick is done.
Yeah. And Michael Caine is also in the movie.
Awesome.
He's my cocaine.
Alfred plays a great role here as the butler.
Yes.
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
As the butler to Wolverine, and he plays like the Q of the magic.
Yeah, he's like the old school magician who knows all the old school tricks. But
he helps Hugh Jackman build his tricks, his illusions.
Right. So he's able to help. At the time, it was both of them, and then he stayed with Jackman.
Right.
To produce his show and tighten down, if you will, his illusions.
Right.
So that they're seamless.
Jackman hires a new assistant played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And yes. And he tasks her with going to Christian Bale and stealing his ideas.
So her job is basically to play I've been fired, where you hire me on as your assistant, and then supposed to steal the ideas and take them back.
She delivers his journal to Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman ends up going to America to seek out Nikola Tesla, played by David Bowie.
Bowie to Bowie.
And he tries to figure out how to do the trick.
Right.
And he comes up with his own version of it.
Yeah, it requires a lot more effort than Bell's trick. But it nonetheless is the same idea.
And I don't want to spoil anything else. That's the basic plot. And I know the movie's been out for years.
It's been out for...
But I mean, I don't know. We can talk about the ending, I guess, but
yeah, there's not really much need to. I mean, it's other than the end, it doesn't spoil anything.
Well, no, I mean, how Bale does his trick is a huge. That's a huge.
That's
too.
different. Yeah.
Because the thing is, because that's what I loved about the movie. I mean, the acting's great. The screenplay's great. Jonah Nolan worked with Christopher Nolan on it. His brother worked on this one too, and we talked about him. Jonathan Nolan, who does Person of Interest. The thing I loved about The Prestige, which I had a similar feeling when I saw Nolan's Inception, is that it's about magic. It's about magic tricks, and they explain it to you. This is the what's it called? There's the turn. The Prestige is the last one, and then it's the pledge. The pledge.
It's the pledge first.
The pledge, the turn, and the Prestige. Yeah. Those are the three acts of a magic trick. Right. And the movie really is a magic trick.
Right.
You get so absorbed into it, you don't see the obvious answers.
Yeah, and it plays out just as they describe at the opening of the movie. The opening of the movie is a voiceover from Kane telling you, a magic trick is three things.
Right. And I was, when I found out how Christian Bale did his trick, I was stunned because it's so obvious, but you don't, because Hugh Jackman gets so wrapped up in it's got to be real magic, it's got to be real magic, it's got to be real magic, and then it's not, the way what it is, you're just like, oh my god! But then the links that he goes to is ridiculous. It's like
that's the thing is that Bell has to live an entire life,
right?
Not just his act,
right?
But his entire life out to be able to perform this trick,
right? And then when you find out how Hugh Jackman does his, it's much more sinister and it's a lot darker,
creepier.
And I guess we can talk about it because we did kind of spoil part of it last.
It's up to you, man. I'll let it be your call if you want to spoil it for all the viewers out there who should have seen this movie by now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's only been 7 years. It's only been 7 years. Basically, all right. Spoilers now. Big spoilers.
Boom. We'll put it on the screen. Spoilers.
Yes. Prestige. Spoilers now for the Prestige. Bale's trick is that he has a twin brother that you never meet until he reveals
until the end when the trick is revealed. You don't know that.
But it's two twin brothers living the same life.
Correct. They'll switch places.
Right.
Which is why if you heard us Doug and I mention earlier, the wife saw erratic behavior. It's because she was living with two different. She didn't even know.
Yeah, she was living with two different men.
They were the only two that kept this secret.
Right,
were the twin brothers,
and
she had kids. They had kids.
Yeah, the kid. Yeah,
but they would switch places throughout the
day,
they
needed to,
throughout the day and or week as they needed to, so they could know each other's routines.
And what the deal was is that Bale's character Alfred, he was in love with Rebecca Hall. The daughter was his, but the double, his twin brother, was in love with Scarlett Johansson, as you know, when she came to work for them. I mean, like they went to the lengths of like Hugh Jackman sabotaged one of their tricks, and then the other had to cut off his finger so that they would match. I mean, it was crazy. You're just like, oh my god,
so his finger got cut off, so the other twin
had to
go in, and they traced their fingers out over top of each other, and he cut off his own finger, so that they would have this match.
And then in the end,
Hugh Jackman has another sabotages him again.
So yes, right. Because then Hugh Jackman, when he goes to see Tesla, he finds out Tesla builds a machine. He basically builds a
machine that
basically is a cloning machine.
Given away, it clones his body, right?
Right.
And he's at first he's under the impression that this is how Bell did his trick,
right?
Because he also came to see Tesla via his journal,
right?
But
did he? Because everything.
I should say you're right. I should say that's what you're led to believe at first, but obviously he's got the journal, so he knows a lot more than the audience at the time thinks he knows. But yeah, in any case, he buys this machine from Tesla,
right? So
he's able to perform this trick. And granted, see, we're kind of ruining it right now because at the time you don't know it's a cloning machine per se,
right?
That again is not revealed until the
very end. Until the very end, because what happens is that Christian Bale goes to jail. He goes to prison for, quote, murdering Hugh Jackman.
Right.
Because the clone drops into a tank of water and he drowns.
And Christian Bale is at the show trying to figure out how
he does the trick.
How Jackman does his trick. So he's underneath watching him drown.
Right.
And
he tried to save him.
He tried to save him, but it looks like he's the one that locked him in there because Jackman put a lock on the...
So Jackman frames Bale for his own murder.
So he goes to prison.
And he goes to prison, but then Christian Bale has one more trick up his sleeve, and the twin takes his place, and he dies in prison. Christian Bale gets out, gets his daughter back, because Hugh Jackman had adopted his daughter. Which is what I said that reminded me of Old Boy a little bit.
Hugh Jackman was a man who basically, he was a decent man who lost the love of his life.
And he went crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing.
Not outwardly crazy, but just inside his mind shut down. He was sinister at that point.
And that's what I loved about the movie is because you watch the movie, and we mentioned this in the Old Boy episode we did last time. You basically figure out by the end of the movie, I've been rooting for the wrong guy the whole time because you're rooting for Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is the main character.
Yeah. You think this guy's been done wrong,
right?
You know, it was Bale's character. What do you say, Alfred? It was.
Yeah.
He didn't knowingly kill Jackman's wife.
It was an accident.
It was an accident, but it was because of his ambition and his gravitas for the show.
Yeah, his desire to do something new. And,
I mean, they were all telling him, you know, make sure you have this knot. He's like, no, I want to do this knot because it's in any case.
Right.
That's how she died, and obviously he's blamed, and so you're like, well, you know what? He's gonna get his comeuppance.
Right.
And then you realize at the end, oh my God, no, this guy's way worse.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman ends up being the bad guy, and it was such a great twist. And I read a review on some website the other day that they're like, oh well, the Bowie thing, you know, with it being like actual real magic in the end because of the cloning. It ruins the movie. I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It makes it great because that's the whole point of the movie. You think that Christian Bale's trick is real magic. Yeah. I mean, that's how Nolan pulls you in.
That's all magic, right? That's the whole point. That all magic is basically magic until you figure out how it's done.
Right.
And that's what we've left off here. That's the movie. The movie actually ends with Christian Bale. Obviously, it's now the flip flop towards the very end where Christian Bale's like, I want to know how did you do it? How are you still alive? How did you do it? And at the end, it shows him walking
in like a warehouse
underneath the stage. Well,
or somewhere,
in like a warehouse or underneath the stage area, and there are just dozens of rows upon rows of Jackman's characters dead in a big vat of water.
So basically, because he did, how many shows did he do? He said he was doing like 100 shows, something like that. So basically, he killed his clone 100 times.
So, and that's what he says. He says, you know, I'm the true magician because I did what needed to be done. Because every time I got on that stage, I didn't know whether it was me that was going to walk off or my clone.
Yeah,
and it's true. But so every show,
it's really
fucked up. Every show he did, he died, basically.
Yeah.
He had to kill himself.
Right.
Every single show.
So, I mean, it was great. I love The Prestige.
It was a really good
And it's like I said, the reason why I compared it to Inception, not only just because it's Nolan, but Inception is the same way because it's about dreams. And then there comes a point in that movie where you're so into it, you're like, wait, what dream am I in now? It's not that it's confusing. It's just that it just immerses you.
I agree. It's a fantastic movie.
But yeah, so Prestige.
Yeah, check that one out.
Now that we've ruined it for you, check it out.
Just for the performances itself.
Because it was great. I remember when it came out and people were talking about Hugh Jackman and people were all saying, "Oh my God, is he going to put?" Because Nolan is notorious for working with the same people again and again and again. And they said they could put Hugh Jackman in the Batman movies. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. And it never happened.
Well, yeah, that's a little much.
But I mean, people thought he might show up and because this was also before The Dark Knight, right. So I mean, he could have been Harvey Dent for all you know. Yeah. They could have made him Two-Face, which would have been awesome. But not that Aaron Eckhart did a great job.
Wonderful.
So, Dirty A, what is your Christian Bale?
So I'm going a little different route here.
Okay.
This is by no means a masterpiece.
I'll say.
Yeah, I'm going with just one that just never gets any love from people. I'm going with 2002's Equilibrium.
Yeah.
It is not a masterpiece, but it's still Christian Bale doing his thing. For me, this movie is all about for everybody. I mean, this movie is all about the fight scenes in it, as more than it is the acting.
The gun kata.
Yeah. It is. It's just so fun to watch these scenes for me that I wanted to give a shout out to it on this podcast. But this was 2002. It's Kurt Wimmer. He's actually more known for a movie he did, and I think it was 2006 as well, Ultraviolet, which was also known for the same style of fighting. But for me, it's done so much better in this earlier movie, his Equilibrium. Mm-hmm. And this is Christian Bale and Sean Bean. They play police officers, if you will, in kind of a neo-future fascist type of a world where the government has decided that crime and violence is all based on people's ability to reason and think for themselves and be creative. It's
emotion. Yeah, emotion. They basically outlaw emotion.
So they outlaw emotion by giving everyone has to multiple times a day has to line up and take these pills, which kind of staves their emotions. And then they also, burn books and art and confiscate anything that might evoke emotion.
Right.
And so these police officers basically are enforcing that law of no emotion. And basically what happens in this movie is Christian Bale's character as this futuristic police officer. His partner, it turns out, has been in part of this, call it a rebellion against the government, secret rebellion to kind of lift up emotion. Mm-hmm. And he finds out, has his partner imprisoned and killed. By the police. But after this happens, he starts feeling feelings that he's never really felt before. It's been so long since he's felt. And then he stops taking his pills. He forgets a couple times. And all of a sudden, he becomes a leader in this movement. Mm-hmm. Again, though, the plot, you're right, the plot, I'm not going to argue, is nothing special at all. But man, the fight scenes... Like if you like the Matrix style of cinematography, this is that, right? And the fight scenes are just absolutely amazing, and the way they're shot is awesome. And still, for me, Christian Bale's acting is still great. Like for me, his role here kind of reminds me of his role in like American Psycho, where he's just this kind of baseless, emotionless guy who's doing his thing. It's kind of minus the psycho, maybe.
Yeah.
But just this emotionless guy. And then he has this epiphany. He feels this emotion, and then all of a sudden he wants his family to be able to experience this emotion that he realizes is humanity itself.
Right.
That's the kind of, if you will, that's the point of the movie, is that humanity is emotion. You can't have one without the other.
It's kind of a cross between... Fahrenheit 451 in 1984.
Yeah, it's definitely
kung fu.
They basically definitely merged those Bradbury type tales like right there, and then throw martial arts in it. I just really, it's a fun, for me, it's just a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I watched this a few years ago on Netflix, and because a friend of mine had gone on and on and on about it, and I was just like, all right, I'll check it out. I mean, because I like Christian Bale from Batman and all that stuff, and I watched him just like, this movie's awful.
I disagree.
Because the thing for me is just like, the Kung Fu stuff. If a fight
maybe
is
played out after.
Yeah, and especially after because this came out like you said, came out like 2002.
It was a good several years after that.
It was 3 years after the original Matrix, and this was actually when did the rest of them come out? They
the
came
Matrix.
Out, yeah, the other two came out in 2002, right?
The last one would have come out. They basically spaced out a year in between.
No. They both came out the same year. One came out in the summer. One came out in the summer.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It was before 2002. It had to be.
No, couldn't have been because the first one was 99.
I thought it was 98.
No, the first one was 99.
Okay.
I want to say that they came out in 2002 it's 2002 or 2003.
Yeah, it's right around there. If it was 99, then it was about they win a year, and so it might have been 2001. Yeah. It could have been 2002. But yeah, you're right. The Wachowski brothers definitely integrated that fighting much better into their movies. Mm-hmm. But for me, this was just a fun watch. I did not hate this movie at all.
Yeah.
It is nothing to just going to win any awards. I mean, if you're comparing this to even The Prestige, there's no comparison. But I just wanted to give it a little bit of love on
right.
Podcast. But yeah, so if you're into that kind of fighting type of movie, I'd say check out Equilibrium. Not so much for the plot as you would in say The Prestige. But it's just a fun movie to watch, and it does demonstrate a different level to Bale's acting.
Yeah, maybe I'll see it again.
Check it out, yeah. I'll watch it with you.
Oh, God.
I can point out all the parts that you're missing.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, so anyway, there's a little Bale-ness for you.
Yeah, our Bale-a-palooza, Christian Bale-a-palooza. As Dirty A said, I'm sure we'll be doing a Dark Knight episode sooner or later.
I highly anticipate it.
Because, January's coming and nothing comes out in January.
Yeah.
So, Frankenstein.
Yeah, they already pushed back that one.
Seventh Son. Yeah,
they've already pushed that back. They said, you know what? We'll just wait a year on that one. We'll just shelf this one for now.
It's already been on the shelf for like a year already. Yeah. But anyway. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Definitely go check out American Hustle when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Check out Out of the Furnace if you can, or just wait for it to come out on Netflix.
Yeah, it's nothing overly special, but it's still a good ride.
And if you've never seen The Prestige and you skipped all our spoilers, definitely check out The Prestige.
And for me, at least, if you like those fighting type of movies, like the Matrix style movies, check out Equilibrium. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's an easy watch and it's free.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're already paying for it anyway. Yeah. Next episode, we're going to be taking a trip to Middle Earth. We're going to be.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I'm afraid we do.
Right.
So we'll be talking.
Spoiler alert! It's a long trip.
Yeah. The second Hobbit movie is coming out.
Just shy of 3 hours, like 2:40.
It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, which I don't know how the hell he's doing this, but it's going to be long. And
for the fans,
yeah,
I've got my air quotes on. If you can't see me, folks.
Yeah, for the fans of money.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that. We'll also talk about Lord of the Rings as a whole. And we'll see what else. We're trying to put together to go see maybe Nebraska if we can.
If we can get that in there. But, we'll certainly have our hands full with Lord of the Rings
and
The Hobbit. That's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, the podcast alone will probably be 2 hours.
Good God. So I mean, I'm winded just thinking about going to see Smaug and The Hobbit. I'm winded just thinking about it. I know. I've got to really hype myself up for this. So.
I mean, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, folks.